The man standing next to me, though, is the Sheffield Steelers owner, Tony Smith. Tony, welcome along to Steelers TV for the first time in 2016. First of all, what do you think of that first 20?
Well, when you're working on a match night, Seth, you see very little of it. I've not seen any of the goals tonight, hear the cheers, hear the moans, but that's about as much as we've caught up to now.
Well, why don't we show you a few of the goals before the end of this interview? We'll make sure we manage to do that. From a Steelers perspective, it's been a busy week, hasn't it? You've gone out, you've had to get yourself another player that caused tongues to wag league-wide with the fact that you picked up the leading scorer from a rival club, another elite league team.
Yeah, that's right. If you read my programme notes tonight, you'll see that we were very lucky, is my comment to that. We were very, very lucky to be in the right place at the right time.
And sometimes that happens, doesn't it, with players where you get an opportunity that maybe you wouldn't 24 hours later or 24 hours before.
That's right. And on this occasion, we got the opportunity to take a very, very good player. We're always on the lookout. You know, this myth that you set a squad up at the beginning of the season and you stay with that squad. I don't buy into that. I'm not a through and through hockey guy. I look to strengthen the squad with Paul Thompson whenever we can. That might not go down with everyone. It might not sit very well with everyone, but that's my mythology. We work to build the best team for these fans, because if you look around the arena tonight, you'll see there's over 7,000 fans in Sheffield. They won't come unless we put our effort in as well, and that's what we do every time we go out there. We're looking for improvements in all different areas.
So how did it feel for the boot to be on the other foot? Because I would imagine the majority of the time it's you that gets the phone call from Paul Thompson saying, "Hey, boss, is there any chance there's this player I want to bring in?" But I understand it was the other way around. You got the chance to make the call to Paul and saying, "Paul, is this a player that you'd like to bring in?"
That's great. I rang him about 2 o'clock on Wednesday morning. I thought I was going to wake him up. Then I realised we were on the bus from 5. Okay. So Paul took the call, and he was quiet. The bus was pretty quiet. The guys were recovering from what was a tough game in Fife on Tuesday night. And I made the call and said, "Paul, we've got a chance of a player. Who is he?" I told him, and Paul said, "Okay, give me half an hour, give me an hour. I want to run some numbers on him. I want to have a look at his stats. I want to see what he's like." So Paul straight away brings the video up on the bus, and he rang me back about an hour later. He says, "Yeah, I think you're right. It's a great pickup."
And to do something like that, I suppose from a Steelers perspective, actually it's a relatively easy signing to make, because you don't have quite so many logistics as you would if you were trying to fly him in from the back of beyond in Saskatchewan, say.
You wouldn't believe it. It's not quite as simple as it sounds. We are restricted by what they call UKBA restrictions, so UK Border Agency. These guys are called migrants these days. They're not imports anymore. So a migrant worker such as Ryan has to be approved to work for the Steelers. He's only been approved to work for Edinburgh Capitals up to now. So that approval is cancelled immediately he leaves the club. Then we have to go through the new process. The easy part was his international transfer card, because that was what's called unlimited. So that was a straightforward paperwork exercise. But the rest of it, we had to work very, very hard to get Ryan on board.
And he, rather than just come down the road, he came down the road and then he was straight out to, was it the Netherlands, and you go to Amsterdam and then have to come back again?
Yep, that's the way it works at the moment, and that's how we have to do it to get players on board as quickly as we can, and then we work hard behind the scenes from then on to get him approved officially. He's legally in the country. He's allowed to play. He's allowed to work, and over the next 90 days we apply for his visas and everything else.
8 months ago, you made a big decision for this hockey club. You decided that you wanted Paul Thompson to be your man, and he was the guy that was going to take this club forward in many different ways. Is he doing the job that you asked him to do?
Just look at this arena tonight. You see, it's okay having a hockey club that plays great hockey and a hockey team that wins games. We've seen that when Matt Soss and 1 or 2 other coaches were around. Great guys, great coaches, but for some reason their hockey didn't tick all the boxes with the fans. And it's no good having a business that doesn't make a profit. So we have to get the balance right. And I know people, they criticise me sometimes for saying we have to have entertaining hockey. It has to be fast, it has to be entertaining. And on top of that, we have to win games. If you put all those 3 issues together, then you'll find that the fans will come. And 7,000 fans Saturday night in Sheffield, when it's snowing heavily outside right now, is a great result for us. So it's part of what we have to do to get the business right. And the business model we're working to at the moment is bums on seats, and everything else will look after itself.
And are you making money right now as an organisation, as a hockey club? Because at the end of the day, as much as this is a lot of people's Saturday night entertainment, it's their love, it's their passion, it's for some people it's their life as well. But this has to be a viable business which over the years we've seen hasn't worked on far too many occasions.
We have to remember when we took this club over in July 2011, we didn't inherit a hockey club. It was in liquidation. And for a lot of people, they think, well, just start again. Well, it's not that easy. There's so many debts and bills to settle before you can actually start. And on top of that, you've then got to recover all the monies that you've put into it over the last 5 years. This is year 5 of the first 5-year business plan.
So it means that your 5-year plan must be coming to fruition.
5-year plan's coming to fruition, and we are slightly above target. So
really?
I'm very happy that, many times I've said this club was a sleeping giant on its knees, and right now it's standing pretty loud and proud.
That must feel good that you're from this community. You and I have a relationship that goes back to when I was playing under-19s hockey in Sheffield, not very well, might add, and the Twins were running rings around on the ice. You're somebody that's been very much invested personally, emotionally, and all the rest of it within the hockey scene in Sheffield for a long time. Yes,
25 years involved in hockey with other businesses, and then my kids have all played through the junior development, the scimitars and the shadows, and then I get involved and teach people how to skate left and right. I don't know anything about hockey, but I can teach them how to get fit. So a little bit of everything, but yeah, I mean the passion really starts when you take on a club like this. Someone once said to me, why don't you take it on? I said, no, you don't do that. The Steelers is much too big. It's a difficult business. But when you actually look at the numbers and you look at the internal workings, you realise that actually with a few tweaks and a few changes along the way, admittedly there's been a lot of changes along the way, but with a few changes along the way, you can actually steer it in the right direction. And that's what we've done with Steelers. We've only steered it in the right direction and made a few changes here and there, but yeah, I'm very passionate, and what I did find when we took over was that Sheffield people were prepared to support a Sheffield businessman, and Sheffield businesses were prepared to sponsor us. And if you look on the ice and the jerseys and everywhere else, you'll see that our biggest problem these days is actually we have nothing else to sell. We are completely full of sponsorship. That's not saying don't knock on the door tomorrow, anybody, and come and see us, but it's a great position to be in right now.
How do you go from getting over 9,000 on Boxing Day, getting over 7,500 this evening, to getting 6,000 when you play Edinburgh, to getting 6,000 or 7,000 when you're playing other teams from around the Elite League? Because I guess that's the utopia, isn't it, that you average over 6,000 every single game?
Yeah, the average is going up and up and up now, and nights like tonight, I said I wanted to see more than 6,000 fans a game on average in the arena this year. And we're heading towards that, because let's not forget, Sundays are a hard sell for hockey. Kids getting up for school, people working the next morning. So Sunday night hockey was what we had to put up with in 2015. In the new year, 2016, we are a Saturday team apart from one weekend. And that for me is what you get. When you're a Saturday team, people want to come and support hockey. And it's an easier sell. So yeah, we're heading for over 6,000 average this year. And for me, it's just much of the same. Carry on doing what you're doing. Why do people not come to watch Edinburgh? I guess it's the same reason why people don't go to watch some of the teams in the Football League, in the Premiership. The interest isn't quite as much when, I don't know, maybe one of the bottom end teams at Bournemouth, for instance. Sorry, Bournemouth, I know you guys are playing Manchester United as opposed to Manchester City, Manchester United playing each other. The attraction's greater, and so they come out to watch the game because the perception is it's going to be a better game to watch. And right now, we seem to be able to get the fans out for most games.
We're about 6 minutes away from the start of that second period. We're going to have a look at the goals very shortly. Let's talk about the league title race right now. By my reckoning, 5/6 teams all in there. This weekend is huge within the context of that. Where do you see, who's the biggest threat in your opinion to the Sheffield Steelers retaining that league title?
Nottingham, Cardiff, Belfast, Braehead, not necessarily in that order.
Yeah.
Anyone from sort of 5 or 6 could take it at the moment. I've said many times, this title will go right down to the wire. I think on the last game, the last weekend of the season, this title will be decided.
Do you feel conflicted about that?
In what way?
Well, as the Sheffield Steelers owner, surely you would prefer that this was done and dusted by March the 1st. Steelers get the trophy, lock it up in the cabinet for another 12 months and then think about the playoffs. But as the league chairman, I suppose you must feel very, very good about the fact that you've done what the fans have asked for a long time, which is have a competitive league.
Well, with my chairman's hat on, yeah, I mean, we have to we have to try and be fair to every club. Every club has to do well. It has to make money. Otherwise, they struggle to survive. So with that hat on, it's important that it's very competitive. But with the Steelers hat on as well, remember what I said earlier, it'll go down to the wire. We want bums on seats. That's important. The trophy would be great. I'd love to win the league title, and I hope we do. I really do, for all these fans here tonight. But the important thing is, again, bums on seats is what pays the bills. And the best team in the world winning all the trophies, if they don't get any fans through the door, they won't be around for very long. So my advice is, let it go down to the wire, and let's 7,000 fans a night come and watch the Steelers.
Just finally on Edinburgh, we want to clear that up. There's been an awful lot of talk on social media since the Hayes departure, and then news today that David Rutherford has signed with the Belfast Giants. It seems like the ship there is slightly unsteady, and players are disappearing at a rapid rate. Is there a worry with your league hat on as the viability of Edinburgh right now?
Edinburgh's okay at the moment. I spoke to Scott Neal this morning. I've been on the phone to him nearly every day. Scott made the call to let Ryan Hayes go, and that was a commercial decision. Rutherford, I know Scott's opinion is, and he don't forget, every club owner has the right to block a transfer internally. Scott Neal only has to say to Belfast Giants, no, he can't go. And as far as the league are concerned, that's the rule, he doesn't go. Scott decided he didn't want a player in Edinburgh that wasn't happy there. So like a lot of coaches, if you're not happy in my room, go. And that was his approach to this transfer. And I think you'll see it more and more. And I think it's important clubs keep players happy and clubs stay competitive. And that's the key to this. Stay competitive. Scott Neal will bring another player in very quickly, I'm sure. OK,
Tony, thank you. Appreciate your time as ever. That's the Sheffield Steelers owner, Tony Smith, talking all things Steelers. We're going to talk all things Elite League